All right, guys, welcome back into another PGA DFS live video. Got Hazy in here. We're going to be talking about the betting picks and the PGA DFS side of it as well. We were just talking off air. Hazy mentioned it. Mark Hubbard's odds have already changed a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely interesting for me. I don't know. I feel like he is someone that's due. I don't know. It just kind of seems like one of those guys that should win a tournament here. If you really like him as a play, I would still do it. Oh, it says Hazy is on mute. Oh no. Let's redo it. No, on my end, I guess. Let's see here. So Hazy's on mute. Alex, is that correct? I'll get that fixed here in a second, if that is accurate. All right, Hazy, give it a try now once. Huh. No. Let's see here. We'll switch it over to a different slide. Let's see if this one works. All right, is this one working, guys? Let's see. Yeah, this one's working. All right, we'll redo it. We'll restart here. All right, my bad. So Mark Hubbard, pretty much Hazy just summed it up. His odds switched from 70 to 1 to 40 to 1 or 45 to 1. Hazy doesn't like it. It's decent.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen him in that price point, before in tougher strength fields, but I just feel like I was saying there's some other guys that you could probably find in the 80 to 1, 90 to 1 range that you could probably, you can bet both of them instead of just betting a single on Mark Hubbard. So not that he's not a good golfer and can't go win this week, but I just think there's some value in some other places.
Yeah. Do you have any like high-end bets that you like to start out with? It's a kind of a weird week.
Yeah, and I know you said yesterday when you in the video that par five scoring is one of the key stats you're looking at this week, and we saw last year with Cameron Champ. He's a good par five scorer. He hits it a ton off the tee. So I think that's the most important stat I'm going to be looking at this week. And obviously, most of the guys in the top 10 besides Wyndham Clark aren't here this week. So you get Wyndham Clark in triple digits, 100 to 1, just solely based on the fact that, he hasn't been great this year, but in this field, you get a guy of his caliber that can turn it around at any moment at 100 to 1, and he's tied for sixth in par five scoring this year. I like that a lot. Another guy in the Mark Hubbard territory, Cameron Davis at 36 to 1. That's another guy that hits it a mile off the tee. We saw him contend at the 3M Open. He always pops up in certain spots, and I think that could be another thing this week. He's 55th strokes gained off the tee, strokes gained approach, which another stat that you like this week. 68th, not the worst. Around the green, 50th, again, not too bad. Tee to green, 45th, and strokes gained total 44th. And like I said, another guy that's a decent par five score. So that's kind of a guy I like just off the bat at 36 to 1.
Yeah, actually, I pretty much echo what you just said. I really, really do like Cameron Davis as a play this week. He's won, honestly. So I'm just going to compare it right now. I need to pull up the 9 to 5 stat sheet real quick. Got Brian saying, hey, what's up, Brian? Alex, thanks for the getting the audio corrected as well there. Let's see here. So, Siwoo Kim, 49th finish here last year. I have him ranked as just a bad play. He's 106th stat fit, but he has made the last 9 cuts. That's pretty much why we're getting him at this price point. But then we go all the way down to Cameron Davis. Miscut last year. Whatever. 17th finish the year before that. 4 straight May cuts, top 10 stat fit. It just, if Cameron Davis was the highest priced player on the slate, I probably would get it more than Siwoo Kim being the highest priced player on the slate, just because he just seems like one of the best plays. Just going off of what you said, great scorer. He's top 20 in that. He does make some bogeys. That is a little bit of a worry, but great total driver, great ball striker, top 30 in both of those. It's just going to be a strong play for him. He has been getting better at stroke gain approach and stroke gain off the tee as well. If there was one player that we could kind of hang our hat on, it'd probably be Cameron Davis, now that we're kind of both talking ourselves into it.
Yeah, and I think Phil Mickelson is by far and away the better play over Siwoo Kim this week. And I think that Phil Mickelson, after the performance he had on the Champions Tour, maybe give him a little bit of confidence, and especially in this week of a field, like being a California native, I know he's trying to get ready for the U.S. Open, so I know he's going to want his game to be sharp, for 2 weeks' time. So I think he's another guy that can definitely contend. And hey, I love betting on guys that are on PGA Tour Live because I get to see their entire round. So, and he's going to be in that group alongside another guy that hasn't been playing that well. But I was curious what your thoughts are on Jordan Spieth this week.
So yeah, Jordan Spieth, I think I like him to make the cut. He's just been grinding out mid cuts. I don't know. For him as an outright bet and him as a DK play, it's just a little bit too rich for me. But if people are playing him, I get it. He should make the cut. And then obviously we kind of always say it, but especially with a player like Jordan, if you're going to be, making a cut, kind of grinding out, you're going to give yourself a chance to win. I especially think that's even more true this week with a world-class player with someone like Jordan Spieth. Yeah.
And then another guy in that 36-1 price point, Doc Redman. I think that's another good play. At the Rocket Mortgage, it was a much tougher field, and he had right around the same odds. And, you're going to take a guy that's a birdie-making machine, and that's something that you're going to need this week. So that's another guy, 36-1, along with Cameron Davis, that I like a lot.
So who do you like more? Do you like Harold Varner or Doc Redman? Because to me, they're virtually the same play. Do you have a preference?
I would say Doc Redman, and I don't know how much the wildfires and stuff like that's going to affect people's driving distance this week. I think that could be a thing this week, perhaps. So I want to take someone that's a little bit longer off the tee. And, we've seen Harold Varner not really be able to close out some tournaments and some rounds. He shot a effortless 8 under par round at the Wyndham, and then kind of, I think he shot 1 under in the second round, and then kind of just really never got it going from there. Where, when we see Doc Redman, start rolling in some putts, he's a guy that can keep attacking, and we saw him have a better finish than Harold Varner did at the Wyndham Rewards, and they're kind of the same player. So I think the recent form is kind of in Doc Redman's category this weekend, and I think he's a better play.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that approach, and just kind of based on ownership wise, just for PGA DFS, it does seem like Redman's going to be lower owned than Varner. Everyone seems to be talking up Varner this week, so that makes sense in both sides of it. Let's get to some questions here real quick. There isn't too many just yet, but
favorite play, Eric Van Rooyen, 36-1.
Eric Van Rooyen, 36-1. It makes a lot more sense this week given the field, but I still think that's too crazy for him. I mean, I'm looking at Chaston Hadley and also like Adam Schenk, who their odds, they got a little bit of an odds boost as well. Or I guess it's not an odds boost, it'd be whatever. Their odds went from like 100 to 1 to 70 to 1. So
decrease.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd just rather play one of those guys where they're a little bit better stat fit. We know that those guys can go low, but yeah. So a couple questions. Just one about Henrik Norlander. So is he in play this week?
I was about to say that.
Huh? Don't say it.
No, I was just about to bring him up.
Okay, so what are your thoughts on Norlander?
Yeah. I think that ever since we've been talking about him and hyping him up a little bit, he hasn't really played very well. But again, like I want to say he was 70-1 at the 3M. Where did he have that? He had the 8th place finish, I think, at the Memorial, right?
Yeah, or it might have been.
And
I know
those really tough conditions, and then everyone, and then he was kind of being bet down a lot, and he hasn't really done anything. But yeah, at 67-1, like I think that Mark Hubbard is a way better play at, even though I wouldn't bet him at 45-1, that Norlander is at 67-1, because the past few events he really hasn't been playing very well. So I would stay off of him personally.
Yeah, and then just on the PGA DFS side of it as well, he's kind of priced at a point where I'd rather play Tyler Duncan. I don't know, I'm just worried about Henrik Norlander this week. We had loved him for like about 6 weeks there. I don't know. It just seems like we're pushing our luck with him.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
I agree.
Yeah. Spieth's a little bit inconsistent putting. Worries me. Yeah, I would agree there. 2 questions here. Thoughts on Snedeker? We'll answer that in a second. And then Brian asked, have we made any outright wagers? Hazy touched on it when I had his mic muted. He pretty much said that he wished he would have bet earlier in the week because someone like Mark Hubbard was, better
Yeah,
odds earlier on the week. It sucks because honestly, this week was one where right when the odds came out, probably should have taken advantage of it. I know for me personally, living that 9 to 5 life, I took advantage of the day off on Monday and
yeah,
just sat back and watched some golf. And I know you had a little bit mini vacation there as well, so you definitely took advantage of Labor Day weekend.
for sure. And just quickly on Jordan Spieth, and isn't it crazy, especially with how technical and how much young players tinker nowadays, that he hasn't changed coaches? I find that really, really interesting that being a younger guy, the same age as me, born in 93, that he hasn't been like, you know what, I haven't won in 3 years. My game has been trending in the wrong direction for a long time.
Yeah.
And I get he was his childhood coach, but I think that maybe that's a spark that Jordan Spieth needs in his game, is definitely a different set of eyes on his swing.
So what are your thoughts on just golf coaches in general? Because I think they can be a mental hurdle for golfers in general as well. I don't know. I feel like it goes both ways.
I think it's always good to have, I don't know. Maybe back in the day, I think they were more important, but now you got all these apps on your phones. These young guys are so knowledgeable on the swing. I think it's good to have, a pair of eyes checking out your swing, maybe if you're struggling a little bit, or maybe you're just like, hey, you know what, Eric, I just want you to look, can you look at my swing quickly? Just let me know if I'm doing things properly. But, look at a guy like, I don't think obviously Tiger Woods knows more than anybody in the game of golf. He doesn't need a coach. And I think that, a lot, and the guys they're playing at the same club with each other, and they're much more closely knit guys on the tour than they've ever been. I think that even asking your buddies to take a look, I think more so a Dave Pell's a short game guru, and short game guys are way more important nowadays than a full swing guy, because especially with that separates the guys on the PGA Tour from any other tour in the world is 100 yards and in. So I think that's the most important thing than a full swing coach.
Yeah, and I just kind of bring that up because I feel like, Ricky's a pretty good example, but I feel like when players make these like changes like that or bring in a new swing coach, it just like messes with them mentally more than anything. Sure, in the long run, it might help them, but more times than not, I feel like it doesn't.
Because it takes them at least a few months just to get adjusted to the new swing, and then to use that swing in competition. It's a full year till you feel comfortable under the gun using that swing.
Yeah, unless you're Dustin Johnson.
Unless you're DJ, just make the 21-footer for par to essentially clinch the Tour Championship, and just, no big deal.
Yeah. So we got thoughts on Brent Snedeker. I'll answer that one real quick. Don't really like him too much this week. Let's say if it's betting wise, I just wouldn't do it at all. If you're ending up on him as the last player in your like DraftKings lineup, that'd be the only way I would touch him. Other than that, don't go out of your way to play him this week. And then we got some questions about Denny McCarthy, Wesley Bryan, and Scott Piercy. So we'll start off here with Denny McCarthy.
Yeah, I like Danny McCarthy a lot. He's obviously at the Wyndham Rewards. He had his first good event in a while. He's rated the best putter on the PGA Tour for whatever that's worth. I know he hasn't won anything, but you got to be confident that on a course where par 5 scoring is going to be key, to continue to go low, is something that Danny McCarthy can do, especially because he's been gaining strokes approach the last few events, which is obviously encouraging because that's something he wasn't been doing at the beginning of the year. So I like Danny McCarthy a lot, and he's still a guy at 70-1 that I would definitely be sprinkling a few dollars on.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think he's pretty safe play to make the cut as well. So even if he doesn't hold that same upside for an outright bet, he should still make the cut and be able to return value that way as well. So I agree with that. I do want to touch on something too, just real quick. So we're saying par 5 scoring is a key stat. That is true. And kind of why it's a key stat is if you are scoring on the par 5s this week and you're not making that many bogeys, one, you're going to make the cut, and then one, you're just going to keep setting yourself up for a top 10 finish, which then could set yourself up to be right around the leaderboard, which obviously then could result in a victory. So that's kind of why you look at all those stats combined together, which kind of paints the picture for this week. Did that last year, and that's what helped me get on Cameron Champ as a winner last year. So just kind of want to clear that up. I know sometimes people will say par 5 scoring, it doesn't matter. You look at the first guy and the guy that's 50th, it's like less than like half a stroke. I'm like, yes, those strokes all add up per round.
We were talking about that though, about how it's like a quarter stroke a round it separates you from winning a golf tournament at the end of the day, because you could win by one, and there's that quarter of a stroke every round. So it definitely does matter.
It does. It does. And I get so frustrated when people say it does it out. It just gets me.
And like you said, a guy like Danny McCarthy is a good play not on for DFS too, is because, like, let's say he makes a cut on the number. With a guy that putts the way he does and who's picking up a little bit strokes gained approach, he's definitely a guy that could go out there and shoot 8 under in the morning. And now that takes you from 100th to now you got a chance to win it all. So that's why it's good to have guys that can putt like him. Obviously his results haven't been there, but there's no shame in getting your worst place guy coming in a tie for 15th in DFS. That could be a big difference money wise.
Yeah, and I will say, so he does have 2 straight missed cuts here at this course, but this has been kind of a course where people, I don't know, it's like 1 week or 1 year they do really well, and the next year they do really poorly. I think Lucas Glover is a perfect example of that. Miscut last year, 17th, the year before that, 30th, the year before that, miscut. Yeah, Luke List as well. It's weird. I don't really get it, but that's kind of why I like looking at bogey avoidance as well. Just kind of this consistency factor there.
Yeah.
So, man, there's a lot of questions firing off today.
Smith, your buddy.
Oh, I love him as a player this week. Not love him. Strongly appeals to me this week.
Yeah. He's 160 to 1. I looked at him right away too. I think he's 50th in par 5 scoring. Let me get that quickly.
Well, he's slowly been getting better. That's
74th in par 5 scoring, which isn't the best, but it's not the worst either. And yeah, like you said, he's been getting better ever since he went on a little bit of a cold streak there.
Yeah, it honestly just might have been the break, but you look. So I'll just pull up his stats as well. So total driving 60th, ball striking 28th, strokes gained total 40th, total putting 80th, strokes gained approach 25th, bogey avoidance 25th. I like him at those odds, and I like the fact that he did play this course last year. Sure, he missed the cut, but I like that he had the experience here, at least somewhat. And honestly, it's just like at those odds, at his price point, it makes a ton of sense for a high risk, high reward type of play.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I already touched on it, but Adam Schenk I do like as a very similar play, but obviously his odds are not as good, but I like that quite a bit. So yeah, Wesley Bryant, I'll just touch on this really quickly. He's not going to be a sneaky play. He's made 4 straight cuts in a row, 7.1 on DraftKings. I'd probably bet him to top 20, honestly, too. I'm not sure what those odds are, but I think that'd be a pretty strong likelihood. So I like.
Well, yeah, like you said, like sometimes there's more value in the outright than there is in the DFS, because outright he's 110 to 1, and yeah, like you said, ever since he's come back, I wasn't expecting much from him at the RBC Heritage on the restart after I think he was out for 16 months with that labrum injury, but ever since he's been back, he's been playing well, and he's shown that he's able to go low. So that's definitely a guy that in this field at 110 to 1, I like that a lot.
Yeah. He just makes a ton of sense. Before. Yeah, he makes a ton of sense across the board. Where did he win? Did he win at the tournament like 3 weeks ago or 2? I forget. There was a tournament recently.
Wes Bryan won the RBC Heritage in 2017, I want to say.
Okay, so like a couple of months ago, but yeah. I was just curious. Okay. We'll roll through these questions real quick. So Scott Piercy, I'm fine with as a play. Don't go out of your way to play him. JB Holmes, I don't have any love for him. Do you have any love for Holmes?
No. No. That's a pretty easy one.
Yeah. And then, so Maverick McNeely, sure. I like McNeely a little bit. I think he's going to make the cut. Could splash a little bit. Nothing I want to go crazy with. And then, did we talk about Cameron Tringale? I'll talk about him real quick. I think he's my 3rd favorite play this week. What about you?
Really?
Yeah.
I saw him briefly. The only thing that worries me, and it's because it's the field, but like Cameron Tringale at 56 to 1, like you just almost can't bring yourself to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like sometimes there's auto bets at a guy like, let's say Spieth was at 56 to 1 this week. Okay, that's an auto bet. It's Jordan Spieth, world class player, but it's like now it's the opposite with Cameron Tringale. Like DFS, sure, but like I don't know if I can bring myself to betting him at 56 to 1 this week.
Yeah, I hear you. So. I think the way he phrased it was more of a DFS question, but I don't know. I could see him winning too. I don't know. I definitely think it's more of a DFS play though, because so I'm just looking at his made cuts the last 3 years here. It was 44th, 46th, and 43rd finish. So it's like, sure, he's making the cut, but he's not like doing anything great with it.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a strong staff fit though, and he should have made 3 straight cuts in a row if it wasn't for that PGA Championship. So yeah.
How about Brooks? We haven't talked about Brooks yet.
Yeah, Brooks. That's.
Good thing he played the 3M in the Wyndham.
Yeah, that was weird.
It had to have been something for his brother. There's no other explanation.
What happened with his brother? I didn't see that.
Like to get his brother into the field, they're like, you
Oh,
have to play.
oh,
Because I don't get it. I really don't understand him playing. It makes no sense.
that could have been. That really could have been. Yeah. I don't know. I kind of think he made checks his mouth cash there. So
Yeah.
Jeffrey's wondering about Cameron Davis. Yeah, we love him as a play. We pretty much said that he was our best play. So pretty
Yep.
strong play there. Do you have any other long shot bets that you'd like other than a couple of the ones that we talked about? I know we talked about quite a bit.
Yeah. Let me take a quick look here.
So I'll say
What
one real
about
quick.
Tim Wilkinson at 300 to 1?
Dude, I was actually surprised that he was 300 to 1. That is pretty crazy to me. I get like 150 to 1, not 300 to 1. That was pretty shocking to me.
Yeah. I don't see him here on this book.
So
But
I
I've
think
seen
he was a
hype
late
about
entry.
that Korean guy on. Have you seen the hype about that Korean guy on Twitter? Um, Kind of like a Sung Jae Im type out of Korea, and like he's not well known at the time, but eventually he's going to be like a Sung Jae Im type caliber player.
Yeah, you know
You
me.
know,
I like to see those guys at least make a cut, and then I think it's like a tumbling
yeah.
effect, and then they start to do well. My
I
two,
don't see him on here, but like I think he's like 300, 400 to 1. I wouldn't mind just putting a couple bucks on him because no one in this field is really not worth a bet long shot wise. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
yeah,
right, other events like they got no chance, but I think in this one they do.
yeah, yeah. I agree with you. So kind of my three favorite. Patrick Rogers, he's 90 to 1, so not exactly a long shot bet for our, categorization of it, but I like him as a play. Kind of a similar play to Cameron Tringale, so you probably hate him as a play, but as a
But he's a
bet.
better putter. He's a really good putter.
So
So
he hasn't been this year, though. That's the thing.
yeah,
Not as strong as no, he has. Sorry, he's top 10. It's what was it?
his approach to the green has not been the
That's
greatest.
what it was. Yep, just
Yeah,
been really bad. But so if he has a decent day approach, he could go off.
yeah,
But yeah, Chris Baker and
yes,
Christopher
Baker, yeah,
Ventura. Those are my two
yeah,
kind of favorite there. They're
yeah.
100 to 1 both. Ventura's been scoring right around like top 25 finishes here. And I think since the break, he hasn't shot a tournament over par. So it's either been even par or under par, which if you're doing that this week, you're going to make the cut. And then you're going to obviously set yourself up for a solid week. Chris Baker, pretty much the same thing. They're both good odds. And I think their odds have what is it, increased, decreased? I don't know how to rephrase it. They've gotten worse for us
Yes,
since Monday. Yeah.
and Chris Baker's is a birdie making machine too. So that's definitely it's not going to be an Olympia Fields week. That's for sure this week. I think Cameron Champ won it at 19 under. I want to say last year. So you're going to definitely need to make your birdies and yeah, a guy that can make a ton of them in Chris Baker.
Yeah, I agree there.
I have a saw like I think I'm going to put a few bucks on Camilo Villegas too, just of all the things he's been through this year, and I think that it'd be a really cool story. And if he could somehow be in contention this week, it would be a really fun sweat.
I didn't even know he was in the freaking field.
300 to 1.
Oh gosh, that's crazy.
Definitely a better play than Luke Donald.
Luke Donald's in the field. I have not looked that low this
Yeah.
this week.
Because Camilo Villegas has been playing the last few weeks on the Corn Ferry Tour. He's been playing fairly well, so I don't think he's really going to be that rusty. And maybe he's really been working hard on his game just to get his mind off the things he's been going through. You know what I mean? Just really grinding, trying to just put his mind at ease. So stranger things have happened. I know that's for sure.
Well, so you kind of bring up like Charles Schwartzel and then Johnny V. So kind of for different reasons. Schwartzel said a couple weeks ago that he found something in his game, and if he found it, it looked like it quickly left.
It's that hat,
The hat.
that bucket hat he wears out there. Looks like a cowboy.
Yeah, everyone has their style, I guess. I don't
Yep.
know. But those are both two interesting names where if they go off and have a good week, I'm not going to be surprised. I just don't really trust it.
With this COVID thing, just kind of off topic here, I think this is the best sporting time of the year in general, but now with hockey and basketball playoffs still going on, it's even better.
So
Football starting, golf, every major sport is playing right now.
I agree. This is like the golden time of sports right now. It's just, but like,
Absolutely.
so what do you typically like better? This time when football's starting or like March Madness time? It's like
Yeah.
Which one do you typically like better? Because
Uh,
like March Madness is like the kickoff of like all the
yeah,
sports
for
in a
sure.
way, but
This year, it's with the Masters being in the fall. If it was like that every year, because I think my most favorite sport's football, and I know we're going to do a live show on Friday and Sunday. So we're not having Bills football in April, it's tough. But in April, you get, and then you're getting into May. You got baseball starting. You have hockey playoffs, basketball playoffs, March Madness, like you said. Um, I would say that it's close, but I think March, April is probably the better of the two.
yeah, it's just like well for us especially too, where we live in those colder
Yeah,
areas. It's like finally the weather's starting to get better, and finally it
exactly.
gets forward. So yeah, it's just a good
Yeah.
time. Um, let's see here. We got a couple questions coming in. I'll get those answered real quick. So, first round leader wager. I typically don't do those. Do you ever do those? Pretty much.
Um, no, not really. Yeah, not really. No, but I mean, you could. I did it 1 year actually because Rory McIlroy I think was 10-1 to be first round leader at the WGC Mexico, which he was, and then he was like 15-1 to win the tournament. So it's like, you know what? Like you can essentially hit the outright just by him having a first round lead,
Oh yeah.
um, right? So if they're close like that, I wouldn't mind, but. I stress over the golf scores enough on Thursdays. I don't need to be worried about a first round leader bet because then it'd be even worse.
That's exactly it for me. But I will say, pretty much our favorite plays that we're on each week. I think most of them have been right around the first round leader bet a few times. I forget. There's like the last like 5 weeks. There's been someone right around like the lead. I forget who it is, and then they fall off. What was it? Was it Streelman and Steele 2 weeks ago? I think I liked him a decent amount.
At what tournament? The BMW?
I can't remember. There's been some long shot guys that I really liked.
Yeah, Spielman I think shot six. I think he opened with a 6 or 7 under at the Northern Trust, which was I think one back of the lead, and then he crumbled from there. I think that's
Yeah,
when you're talking about.
yeah, that's what it is. And there's been other situations like that too, where I get why you want to do it, but I don't know. Yeah, I like to sweat on Friday and Thursday, the PJ lineups, and then sweat bets on Sunday.
For
But
sure.
Will Gordon, I think he could be potentially this year's Cameron champ. Don't love him too much. Don't go crazy with it. What about you?
Yeah, ever since another guy that we've hyped up a little bit, he hasn't really been playing well. I know he had those couple good events, especially at the Travelers there to get him conditional status for the rest of the year. But yeah, I'm going to pass on Will Gordon this week.
Yeah. Then Alex is talking about the WSU vet himself, Winona State guy, Troy Merritt. I don't mind him this week. I talked about this a couple of times. If Steve Stricker or if Troy Merritt are in an event, I'm always going to sprinkle a little bit of action at them. I don't mind him this week. He can obviously score it. Don't do anything like crazy with it. If I would honestly just sprinkle a little bit of him if you're thinking about playing him.
Well, especially because a few weeks ago at the Barracuda in the West Coast, I know it was a little bit different altitude, but he played well. So a guy that's had some recent good form on the West Coast. So yeah, I wouldn't mind betting Troy Merritt this week at all either.
Yeah, and he's a guy where he's typically a really strong like ball striker and total driver, and that hasn't been there for him this year. That's eventually going to come back around too.
This feels like a Barbasol type event. You know what I mean? And he's won one of those before, so I could definitely see him contending again.
Honestly, so what do you think? Is this better than the Barracuda, Barbasol, Bermuda Championship, or is it pretty much the same?
I think so only because there's going to be there's a lot of young guys that are just getting on the tour now for the first time that are not household names at the moment, but are going to be. And it's a better field than, guys taking a week off here, not playing the Barracuda or the Barbasol. So, and those are, I believe those are events that are played opposite of other high profile marquee PGA Tour events, whereas this one's a standalone and it's the opening event of the year where we know they're crucial because we see a lot of guys in the playoffs. We're like, how are they in the playoffs? And it's all because of the first few events of the wraparound season. So they're definitely better fields. So I'll take the Safeway over the Barracuda.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, honestly, all like four. I don't think the Barbasol ever has like PGA contests, but like these are some of my best events because one, they don't get as much of attention. Ownerships are like a lot different than they should be. I don't know, and these like random weeks where the names aren't as high value, I just tend to do better at. So I'm pretty pumped up for this week.
Yep, agree.
We'll get it wrapped up here pretty quickly. I do want to say, Hazy kind of mentioned in passing there. So on Friday, we're going to be doing a live video. That's going to be more like outright bets or over and under bets for the NFL season. or just that week, but also for the season, probably this week. And then on Sunday, we're going to be doing a live stream as well. That'll be covering kind of just our favorite plays for that week, that Sunday. And then also just like breaking news, we'll be able to help you guys out with your lineup approach there.
Yep, absolutely.
Be a fun time. Any other bets here? Any U.S. Open bets? Any Safeway Open bets?
I think that Tiger Woods at 45-1. I know I bet him all the time, and it's like, oh, here he goes again with Tiger Woods, but 45-1, and it's not the things that you think of. Like, obviously you have to putt to win the U.S. Open, but like putting the ball in play is number one, and that's something he's actually been doing. And I think this layoff is actually going to be good for him. He can't putt any worse. And I would hope that he's going to be like, you know what, like we got to figure this out. And hopefully he has. And he's a lot better than he was a few weeks ago when he was 25-20 U.S. Open.
Yeah.
So to get almost double there, like I think is worth it.
Yeah, I would agree there. For me, I know a couple of my guys that kind of their odds have gotten worse. Sanjay M and Terrell Haddon, I kind of liked a couple of weeks ago. They were like Sanjay M, I think was like 125-1 a couple of weeks ago. That's all the way down to like 70. Haddon was like 90-1 at one point because he was playing horrible. That's pretty low now. So, I mean, I'm scrolling through some deeper odds here. I don't see any. I still don't mind Thomas Peters. I don't know why. It's just he's popping for me a little bit. But other than that, there's nothing too much right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think after this week's over, it's going to be time to really focus and to find some of those value plays, which I think we're going to do.
Oh yeah, shoot, the U.S. Open last year, Ches Reavie, and who was it? There's someone else too, Scott Piercy, obviously. Those were kind of my go-to guys for that, and those guys obviously did really well.
Yep.
All right, any closing thoughts here?
No, I'm just so fired up for, especially because this week it's on the West Coast. I get to watch the Bills game in peace from 1 to 4, and then I get to catch the final round since it's probably the leader's probably going to tee off just before 4. So, he missed the first couple of holes, but it's not the end of the world.
Oh, dude, my fiance is going to hate me on Sundays now. God, what about your girlfriend?
Oh, yeah, I know. She knows the drill now. She knows the drill now 3 years in. So Sundays are my day off.
Yeah, exactly. Leave me alone from like now it'll be like 10:30 until.
Oh yeah.
10:30.
Oh, like 8. Exactly. after the Sunday nighter's over.
Exactly. All right, guys, that's all we have for you this video. Posy, did you figure out your send off yet?
No, I didn't. I know. I thought of that halfway through. I'm like, he's going to ask me, but I promise for Friday I'll have one. I promise.
All right. Sounds good. Well, for Hazy,